injury front, I think we came out decently clean. So nothing to report on that. Obviously, we got some guys working through some things. Obviously, on the bye week here, so each player is a little bit different with how we're treating that. But we do need to get rested up, I think, physically, mentally, emotionally. And I told him today, we got some projects we got going on. Come back in here Monday with a plan of action to get better, coaches and players, and full steam ahead when we get back in here on Monday. What do we got?
Do you expect Kyler to be back after the bye, health-wise?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Keeps trending.
Is there anything planned for the guys this week at all, or they get the week off?
They're all a little bit different, Craig, depending on their health. Their physical bucket, health bucket. So kind of a little bit different, but they do need to get out of here a little bit.
When you say we got projects going on, is that the coaching staff working on stuff?
Coaches and players, yep.
What kind of project
Say it again.
What kind of project are the players working on?
They need to watch the tape and watch themselves and have a plan of action, what they want to work on to get better.
Being that you have the personnel that going back to last year, everybody seems to be healthy on that O-line. But you do have a couple guys that are coming off injury. Will, and then I know Jonah had dealt with injury in the offseason. How do you feel like that group has performed, and how do you want to see them? How can they take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, the basics of offensive line play is move people in the run game vertically or horizontally and keep the pocket firm. Don't let your guy hit the quarterback. So just like every position, I think steps that we need to take to play a little bit better as a team and as a unit. And they're kind of in that boat.
Micah Parsons said that he was surprised by how many one-on-one opportunities he got. Why did you guys leave him one-on-one so much?
Well, we didn't a ton. I think the times that we did, like I think off the top of my head here now, 2 of his sacks were in the red zone. And there's a lot of decision-making going on third down and possibly on fourth down with what you want to do there. Sack doesn't really kill you in the red zone. Not worried about that, those 2. We're in 2 2-minute drives, which he had the 1 in the 2 minutes. So, obviously he's a premium player. Obviously we had a plan for him. Can you double him every play? No, you can't. And he made his plays, credit to him. Do we need to do a better job versus elite edge rushers when we play them? Probably, yeah.
When you say do a better job, you mean in the plan or in the execution?
A little bit of both, probably. But again, I know their plan for him, which I thought was good. Obviously, I wouldn't okay it, but yeah, like I said, the 2, I think if you flip side, they max protest in the red zone and we made them kick a field goal. You got to get people out in the route in the red zone, especially when there's a goal line on fourth down. So I was comfortable knowing that he was going to make his plays. Would you wish you limited him a little bit more? Yes. But he's a good player, and hats off to him.
There's not a lot of historical precedent for 5 straight games decided by 4 points or less, losing all those. Is there anyone you turn to, talk to, anywhere you go to try to understand how to get over the hump?
No. People in our building.
Coach, do you have a sense of how the players are mentally, emotionally today?
They need to get reset, as positive as you can be after losing how we just lost yesterday. But they'll be ready to go on Monday. I know that.
You guys touched on this last night with the bye last year, obviously, stopped the momentum. Here it could also stop a different kind of momentum. What can a bye do? How can it reset these guys?
Yeah. When you asked that yesterday, right, Josh? I think you did. I wasn't ready for the question. I kind of smirked. I was coming at a great time. You lose 5 in a row. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but you're right. If you believe in momentum, what I do think that it's emotionally the toll of being in 1-score games for 7 weeks, which is what 70% of the games come down to. So it's not that's absurd in the NFL. You expect the margins are small for everybody. But I do think it's a good little a time to reset here and really focus on some controllables moving forward as it relates to everybody playing a little bit better.
Coach, you said after the game that you had a moment where you said, like, I have to do more. What do you feel like you haven't done enough of?
Well, coach the players better, you know? So that's, just doing a little bit more, the whole Latin phrase, magis, Michael and I talk about that all the time. Like, you gotta do a little bit more, So that's what I really meant by that is you gotta take a critical look at what you're doing yourself, and see where you can impact the team and impact winning and losing more,
Over, about 2.5 years covering you now, it's kind of been a steady climb, 4-13 the first season and 8-9, and then you win the first 2 games, and there's a lot of expectations this year. With this 5-game losing streak, does this feel like the first real, I don't know if crisis is the right word, I mean, or is every week a crisis in the NFL? I mean, does this feel like your first big test?
You said it, not me. I won't use that word. I would say we have had adversity hit us since I've been here. And we are in it now, right? And there's only one way to kind of flip the narrative, which I feel really confident with how we're going to do that, and we're going to put our best foot forward, put all the energy and effort into flipping it, and then let the chips fall, But I do feel good about what we're gonna do when we get back here on Monday.
Are you giving the players the week off? What's the schedule with them?
Yeah, they're a little bit, all of them are different.
Is there any changes coming, you think, Coach, as you look at what you want to do ahead moving forward?
Yeah, I got to look at everything. You know what I mean? I'll reflect. I think this is a good time to reflect. You're not preparing for a game, and you don't have who's up and who's down, who we're elevating, all those things. Who's ready to play, who's not. So take a little bit of a pause and look at what we're doing. Yeah, absolutely, Craig.
That includes taking a look at the quarterbacks, or 2 quarterbacks, and which one starts.
Yeah, nothing's changed, Bob.
You want to examine it this week, or entertain?
Nothing's changed, Bob.
You said, Connor will start, when healthy. If he's not healthy enough to go like he has been the last couple of weeks, how nice is it to know you got guys like Jacoby? I know that's why you brought him in, because you know what he can do, but now that he's done it with this group a couple of times, how nice is it to?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about that with somebody. It's like there was a reason we signed Jacoby, you don't want to, and not to discredit anybody, that's a backup quarterback, but we felt really good about him giving us a chance to win if he had to go in and play. And I think he's done that, honestly, through 2 weeks now. He's played pretty good football, and just like all of us, I know he's hard on himself, wants some plays back, that's all of us. But I do think he's done a good job.
What do you think that gives confidence-wise to the guys around him, the rest of the players?
Yeah, I mean, he goes out there and does his job at a high level.
Coach, what tells you, or how do you know that your locker room, that your team has what it takes to kind of fight through adversity like this?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to acquisition first. And that's why we spend a lot of time on the acquisition periods throughout a year. The fabric of who they are as people, that matters when you're in some adversity like we are. I told them that today. If we didn't have good good dudes, high football character guys, team first guys, I'll tell you flat out, we'd be in trouble. We would, because there's, I've had some experiences that we don't have the fabric of what we have here, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't. You don't dig yourself out of it. So, I've also had the experience where we had, and it really starts with the people. The players first, the coaches, the staff, everybody that's in that building right now. You got to stay fully committed to what we're doing, do it a little bit better, but continue to have high football character and not skip steps and stick to your process, do everything a little bit better, and punch your way out.
What can a guy like Walter do this week if, it's not the normal week, obviously, but?
Yeah, he's got a big time plan this week.
Like,
Meaning, like, with certain guys, that's what you mean, what you're asking, Josh, Craig. Like, everyone's a little bit different with this, you know what I mean? It's not just a week off here. you know? So he has to keep progressing as he would if we had a normal week, I would say.
With 7 seconds left in the first half, obviously kicking that ball in play would take off most of the clock there. Well, why did you guys opt to kick the touchback there?
Yeah, it's just a decision we made. You know, that falls squarely on me. Like I said yesterday, a couple different ways you can go about it. I liked where I thought we would have been in pretty good shape. And you look at it and you critique it, you know, and each game's a little bit different with who they have and what you got up and who you have. But obviously it didn't work out because I didn't want to give them 3 points there at the end. So I critique it and say, hey, that's, you know, when we get in this situation again, what do we want to do?
Coach, when you were in Philly in 2021, you guys started 2-5, made the playoffs. Zay Jones was in here last week talking about how he was on a Jags team that started 3-7 and made the playoffs. When you guys come back, do you have people come up and speak about their experiences and how they were able to kind of dig themselves out of that hole?
Yeah, I mean, there's not one guy. I mean, take the rookies out of it. There's not one guy that has been on a 16 or a 17-0 team. You know what I mean? My point with saying that, Zach, is everyone in that locker room has faced some type of adversity with the team that they're on or with themselves. That's natural. That's the you know, part of the job that you have to have the focus and you know, competitiveness, I would say, to keep doing what you're doing, you know, at a high level.
Do you hear from and welcome the feedback or the input from players as to what they feel that needs to get
Oh,
fixed?
yeah. Talk to players every day.
So it's that 4th and 1 with 6 minutes to go, 5:58. Would you change the call in hindsight or change personnel in the game at the time? Or would you do differently in that situation in hindsight?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, well, because it didn't work, probably do something different. But I like the call there. You know, we've been pretty good on those. It's a yard, you know. It's unfortunate they made a good play, you know.
On the last drive, when you guys got down to the 26 with the pass to Michael Carter, 45 seconds left, did you think about using a timeout there, and why not?
How many did I have left?
2 left, and there were 45 seconds left.
When do we get the next playoff?
30, maybe? 25?
Yeah, I try to say, you know, why I'm trying to think about it now, Taylor, it's a really good question because a lot of different ways you can play that, you know. We got all kind of SOPs for timeouts and time and score and all of that, and it moves fast too. No, I typically try to, when you need a touchdown, try to save my timeouts as long as I can, you know. Now, if there's a sack that happens and you're discombobulated, you're trying to throw the ball downfield, you might have to take one, or there's a lot of times you see explosive passes happen where you might not be able to get the playoff and what we think you should be able to get the playoff. There's kind of a algorithm math equation to that. No, I was comfortable with what we did there.
What did you see out of Darius getting back in the saddle?
It was good. I thought he looked explosive. You know, I'm sure he wants a couple plays back, just, you know, like all of us, meaning that he wants to keep trending in the right direction, you know, but his first game back in a couple games. I thought he did look explosive, though, which was good to see. He wasn't afraid to reach out and grab people and touch people, which was good to see, you know, with the injury that he had. So he'll keep trending.
How's Ojolari looking?
Getting better day by day.
Is a Monday night game against Dallas better coming out of a bye week where you got the extra couple of days on the weekend?
Just got to readjust the schedule, honestly, Craig. You know, when the schedule comes out, you look at it and kind of go from there. But we end up getting a couple more days of work leading into that game.
Did Ojolari have a setback at some point? Situations are
Nick,
super
we'll make this
different
the last one, okay, Coach?
from the bye week last year to this year, but
Start over, Nick.
the
Mark
situations
just cut you off.
very different from the bye
Thanks,
week
Mark. No.
last year to the bye
Yeah.
week this year.
Yeah.
But anything that you're doing differently yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now the bye week came a little bit later. We're 10 games, right? We're at 7 now. So, you know, the schedule was the first thing that comes to my mind is the schedule coming off of this bye is not going to change much, where last bye was changed significantly where we were at in the year. You look at, you know, Monday night game, you know, you look at Thanksgiving, Christmas, how many padded practices you're allowed left, all those things. So you kind of, you know, put that, the health of the team, what does it look like after this bye week as opposed to last year? It's going to be a lot different. And then you just try to put the pieces together and put a good plan together, you know. As far as what we're doing this week, couple tweaks, you know, with the coaches and the players, what I asked, but not much, you know. The main thing, I want those guys to come in here on Monday refreshed and positive and ready to go.